we start standing up like we always do. Lengthen up, knees hip width apart with a slight micro bend. Pull your belly button to the spine, shoulders down your back pockets, always keeping that little orange. So you've always got to be, so I'm pulling my head up to the ceiling. And remember, whatever position you're in, you feel like you're lengthening. So we just start with our normal arm circles, squeezing our shoulder blades together. If it's too uncomfortable around the shoulders, you're just going to do shoulder circles. Imagine there's a pencil shooting out from the side of your shoulders. The rest of us, arm circles. Only if you want to, tiptoes, soles of your feet. Or you can stay on your tiptoes. My arms come slightly behind, squeezing my shoulder blades. Opening up my chest, lengthen. Let's just do one more. And back to center. Interlace your fingers behind your back. Pushing your palms together, lengthening your arms down your back. And if you can, bring your hands over to the right as you tilt your head. Oh no, it's to the right. Feeling a nice deep stretch in your neck and the top of your shoulders. Remember being pulled by a piece of string. And back to center, lengthening your arms down your back. Squeezing your palms together, bring your hands over to the left and tilt your head to the left. Feeling a nice deep stretch in the shoulders there, so I feel I'm opening up here, feeling a stretch in the top of my shoulders and my neck. Lengthen your arms down your back, squeezing your shoulder blades together. We're going to have a wider stance, hold on to your hips, and we lengthen our arm up to the ceiling. Little micro bend, pull your belly button to the spine. Lengthen. Shoulder issues, just reduce your range of motion. Just rest your hand on your head. So I'm being pulled. Squeeze the glutes, pull your belly button to the spine and lengthen back to center. We do the other side. Some of you might want to lengthen both arms away, but just watch your lumbar spine, your lower back. That just puts a lot more pressure on your lower back. So it's up to you. Lengthen back. We do one more, either side. Lengthen. Squeeze your glutes, pull your belly button to the spine. Remember, those with shoulder issues, reduce your range of motion. Really sticking out my hip. Feeling a nice deep stretch in my hip, my waist there. And holding this stretch, remember you're strengthening and toning, nice waist trimmer. And lengthen back to center. And can you turn your feet outwards to about 45-degree angle, holding on to your hips? We do the goddess pose. We're sliding our shoulders down the wall. Oh, sorry, keep your soles of your feet on the mat. And back to center. So I'm sliding down my shoulders down the wall, pushing out my knees and back to center. Some of you might want to lengthen your arms out in front as you slide your shoulders down the wall. Remember, don't lean forward. You don't want to stick out your bottom. I'm sliding my shoulders down the wall, holding onto your hips or lengthening your arms. Some of you might want to go one step further and come onto your tiptoes. Really feel that in the muscles all around the legs. Sliding my shoulders down the wall. You can hold onto your hips. Pushing into your toes if you're on your tiptoes, or you're pushing into your heels. Nice straight back. One more. Push into your heels and back to center. We're going to roll down a Pilates stance. So I'm gluing my heels together. Lengthen up. My feet are out to a 90-degree angle, so hold on to your hips. Hinge forward. I really feel like I'm sticking out my bottom as I've been pulled by a piece of string. Feeling a deep stretch in my glutes, in my hamstrings. For those, some of you might want to hold on to your thighs as we round and curl. Keep a straight back for those with lumbar spine issues when we lengthen to the left and right. The rest of us come down to the, see if you can touch the floor. If not, have a little ball or a block. Rest on a block or a ball. Hold on to the band, not too tight. So we lengthen out to the right, pushing into your heels. Tailbone up to the ceiling. And lengthen back to center. And over to the left. Pushing into your heels, tailbone up to the ceiling. And lengthen back to center. Let the top of your body hang, squeeze your glutes and roll
your spine up. So I'm really pulling my belly button to the spine, really stretching out my spine there, but protecting my lumbar spine by really pulling my belly button in. And into mountain. Only if you want to, you can come up onto your tiptoes. Chest back to the sun, shoulders down your back pocket. The closer your ankles together, the more you're challenging your balance. Prayer. Arms in line with your ears. Back to mountain. And back to prayer. Shoulders down your back pockets, pull that belly button to the spine. Soles your feet, bring your arms in front, regular stance. Step your left foot forward, so we're going to balance. Taking pressure out of your big toe, or you might want to float up your knee or lengthen out your leg. You choose the level that's good for you. So you lengthen your right arm, longer than your left. Sorry, I think it's the other way around. It's my right to your left. And we open up our book. Shoulders are down your back pockets. I was hunching up my shoulders a bit there. And lengthen, lengthen back to center. Some of you might want to go further and lengthen out the leg. Open up that book. As long as that knee is in front, it's rotation of your upper spine. And lengthen back to center. We do the other side, just roll it out. Reduce your range of motion. Remember, if you've got shoulder issues, so and don't use the bands, you might come out by 90 degrees rather than 180. So I lengthen my right longer than my left, and I open up my book. I'm taking pressure out that big toe. Open up. Some of you might be floating your knee or lengthening out your leg. Total stability. And back to center. And just shake it out. Hold on to your band. We're going to do a few little squats. So just make sure your feet are hip width apart. You can either hold on to your hips. I find it a bit easier as I sit into my seat and lengthen out my arms. My knees don't come over my toes. Pull the band apart if you can. You can hold on to your thighs, but I find balance a little bit easier if I lengthen my arms out in front. Push into your heels. Let's do one more. Sit into your seat, really feeling that in the quads. Can you see I've got a nice straight back? I'm not leaning forward like that. Nice straight back. Let's do one more. And push into your heels. Lengthen your arms away from each other. We're opening up the hip flexor. So I've lengthened my right leg away. My right hand is by my thigh. I'm lengthening my left arm next to my left ear. And we're going to balance. Lengthen that right leg away. Feeling a nice opening of the hip flexor. And come to a point that's good for you. If you're wobbling all over the place, come back into position, readjust yourself. And just come to a point that's good for you. So I'm not leaning forward like that. I'm keeping my arm, right arm on my thigh, left next to my ear. And back to center. We'll do the other side. Left hand, left thigh, right arm, right ear. Micro bend in the supporting leg. A bit of balance. We'll just come to a point that's good for you. Rest whenever you like and then come back into position. I'm trying to keep my shoulders down my back pockets and back to center. And just shake it out, roll your shoulders and we'll get down to the mat. So we step forward, coming down to the mat. And then we're just going to do a couple of spine stretches. So our feet are mat width apart and I'm flexing my feet. We're going to lengthen our arms up to the ceiling. Remember, if it's too uncomfortable to lengthen your arms up to the ceiling, just have your hands in front of your legs. But we're lengthening our arms up to the ceiling. Hinge them forward. Can you see I've got straight back? Pull the belly button to the spine, flex the feet. Being pulled by a piece of string. Lengthening from the hip joints. Everyone put their hands on the mat and we walk our hands forward. And I really feel the lengths coming from the hip joint. I'm elongating my spine, flex those feet so you feel a nice deep stretch at the muscles in the back of the legs. And restack your spine, or C-curve that spine. Down with a straight back, up with a C-curve. Hinge forward. Flex the feet, lengthen from the hips. Still being pulled by a piece of string, everyone's hands come down, and I round and curl. Some of you will keep a straight back if you've got lumbar spine issues. Being pulled by a piece of string from the crown of the head, and then restack the spine, back to center. So we're going to slowly roll down. Some of you might have your little cheek cushion, especially if you've got a big arch to your lumbar spine there, because sometimes it's just impossible to roll down if you've got a big arch. You know how it works. You get assistance of the band. If you want to slowly roll down, level 1, hands in line with shoulders. 2, don't want to look at your elbows. Level 3. I'm going to come down in level 2. Remember, really, really slowly. Relax the feet. Lean back by an inch. Then scoop your pelvis. Recreate a C-curve to that spine. Don't let the elbows come in. Keep those elbows out. Now, if you're struggling with your elbows, if they're coming in, just lengthen your arms out. Come to level 1. Relax the feet. Relax the legs. Pull the belly button to the spine. Breathe. And especially as you breathe out, really think about pulling the belly button to the spine. Really feeling that in the core. And hug your knees to your chest and rock from side to side, pulling the knees apart. Or some of you go straight into your rollover. Might be here, you might be able to get a little bit further, part your legs, even wider the mat width apart, flex your feet and roll down 1 vertebra at a time. Maybe you can get your legs to the ceiling, or maybe a bit lower. You don't want to do that. You don't want to flare out your ribcage. Keep on hugging the left leg, lengthen the right leg away. Really relax the muscles. Bring the left leg slightly out to the side. Thigh skins your ribcage, but relax. Hold on to your hamstring, calf muscle, or your ankle. Lengthen your leg up to the ceiling and start circling the ankle. Remember, some of you might want to lengthen and lift your head and shoulders. A little bit more core work. Don't do it if you get tension in the neck. Bend the knee, lengthen it away and bring up the right leg. Really relax and lengthen through the hip joint of the left leg. Really relax, bring the right knee slightly out to the side, thigh skins your ribcage. Hold on to your hamstring, calf muscle, or your ankle. It all depends on your flexibility. Push into the heel, circle your ankle, one way, then the other. Some of you are just floating up your head and shoulders, a little bit more core work. So we're layering the exercise. Bring your knee to tabletop, tee your arms. Your arms can come close to your thighs if you have shoulder issues. And bring your right knee over to the left. Look in the opposite direction. Only if you want to, you can put a little bit of pressure on your knee. Shoulders stay glued to the mat. Left leg stays nice and lengthened. Don't bend it, that weakens the stretch. Relax the foot. Pull the belly button to the spine. Melt the rib cage into the mat. Because I've totally relaxed that leg, my core is doing the work. I might swap over legs. Left leg, tabletop. Left over to the right. Look in the opposite direction. This is my much tighter side. Shoulders stay glued to the mat. Right leg stays nice and lengthened. And bring your left leg back to center. If you just take your ball, put the ball between your knees, remove your block, and we just do a bridge. Some of you might want to have a loop band around your thighs. Is that not a loop band? A resistance band, not around your thighs, around your hips. It's up to you. just creates a bit more resistance. So we're going to gently, we're going to be in a bridge position. I'm going to squeeze my glutes, gently squeeze the ball, nice deep stretch, firing up our glutes. Push into the heels. Really feel you're lengthening the knees away. I'm opening my hip flexors and opening my thighs there. I've got a nice tight band, so I'm working the muscles in my arms, creating a bit of tension. And I lengthen my arms up to the ceiling, pulling my band apart if you're using a band, and over your head if you can. Lengthen your knees and your arms away from each other. Imagine you have a water droplet in the middle of your hips, and I'm rolling the water droplet to my left hip, to my right hip. Stay in that bridge position. Left hip, right hip, pushing into the heels. Left hip, then right hip, mobilizing that pelvis, and now we're going to slowly roll down. Rolling the water to my left hip, right. And remember, every single vertebrae needs to, well, try and hit every single vertebrae on the mat as you roll that a droplet of water from the left to the right hip. And lengthen your arms over your head. Drop the band, keep the ball between your knees, squeeze that ball, grab your block again, squeeze the ball. Take the pressure out to your feet, you're on thin ice. Pull your belly button to the spine and squeeze the ball. Work your inner thighs. I'm on thin ice, so I'm really trying to take all the pressure out of my feet so my core's doing the work. And squeeze the ball. We're going to drop our knees to the left. Some of you might want to do this at tabletop. It's a little bit of a deeper stretch. Drop your knees to the left, look to the right, and lengthen out the top leg. Relax the foot, squeeze the ball, squeeze the ball. Lengthen, lengthen the top leg. Feel the stretch, but feel you're working your core and your inner thigh. Bend the knees, squeeze the ball back to center, and drop your knees over to the right and look to the left. Squeeze the ball so you lengthen out the top leg. Lengthen, lengthen as much as you can, but relax the foot. Squeezing the ball. I can really feel my inner thighs working. I can really feel that in the core. I'm on thin ice. I'm taking the pressure out the soles of my feet. I'm going to come a little bit deeper. You don't have to do this. You can keep your soles of your feet on the floor. Over to the left. Lengthen out the leg. Squeezing the ball. Back to center. And over to the right. Look to the left. Just lovely deep lumbar spine stretch. Nice deep stretch down the lateral side. Relaxing the feet and squeezing the ball. You're working your inner thighs, but I can really feel I'm working my deep core muscles. Drop the ball. Hug your knees to your chest. Little and rock from side to side. Or some of you might want to do your little roll over. See if you can get your legs slightly wider than mat width apart. Don't push into the hands, you want your core to do the work. The next exercise we're going to do, you're hugging your knees to your chest and you're lengthening your legs up to the ceiling. You're going to hug your left leg, one leg, single leg stretch, left hand, left ankle, lengthening right leg up to the ceiling, and we swap over. Right hand, right ankle, holding for two and lengthening through the hip joint. We're going to swap over. I'm not really hugging my knee in. I'm letting my deep core muscles hug my knee to my chest. I'm just gently holding on to my ankle there, gently. And it's my deep core muscles that's helping me hug my knees to my chest. Now the aim is to lengthen those legs as close to the mat as possible. Lengthen, hold for two. I'm gently holding my legs. I can really feel that in the core because I'm using those deep core muscles. Can you see what I'm doing there? It's my core that's doing the work. So you might come quite low, or you might be slightly higher, or maybe up to the ceiling. See if you can hold it for two. Some of you might be floating up your head and shoulders. Remember, bottom of your ribs need to try and touch the top of your hips when you float up your head and shoulders. Holding for two. Really lengthening through the hip joint. Gently holding onto my ankle. And I'm really using my deep core muscles to really hug my knee to my chest. If any of you want to take it any further, you interlace your fingers behind your head, which makes it so much harder. Let's do a couple more, either side. When you lengthen out the leg, hold it for 2. Final one. Then hug your knees to your chest and rock from side to side. Or some of you might want to do your rollover. Just choose the lower spine stretch that's good for you. So the next exercise we're going to do is dead bug fly. So you can choose if you want a loop band. I'll just show you. So it's dead bug, but you're flying your arm out to the side. Can you see? Opposite leg and arm. And back to center. So you can either use a resistance band or weight. So you just choose a level that's good for you. So my soles of my feet are on the floor. Some of you might want to start in tabletop as you lengthen opposite leg and arm. Make sure you're pulling that belly button to the spine, melting your rib cage into the mat. So I fly my left out to the side. So I'm right as I lengthen out my right leg, holding for a couple of seconds and back to center. Take a breath in, relax the feet, lengthen through the hip joint. Right arm out to the side, left leg lengthens away. And back to center. Really lengthening, holding. And back to center. If you want to progress, bring those knees up to tabletop and carry on. Lengthening opposite leg and arm. Remember, you're flying the arm out to the side, feeling that in the waist. Relax those feet as much as you can. Lengthen. And back to center. So some of you might want to go a little bit further and do your double dead bug fly, lengthening both arms and both legs. Remember, the closer your legs are to the ceiling, less pressure it is on the lumbar spine. The closer your legs are, I'm not holding it for 2, I should be. Closer they are to the mat, more it's going to work your core. Just make it your final one, either side. Total stability. One arm, one leg stays completely stable. This is our final one. You're going to lengthen, really lengthen, relaxing the legs and arms, lengthen. Holding and back to center. Drop your band or your weights and hug your knees to your chest and rock from side to side. Oh, one more thing. We do that in a minute. Can you do a full body stretch? Lengthen your toes and fingers away from each other. And we roll over to the side. So we're going to roll over to the side and do this single or double leg lift. Some of you might want a little band around your thighs. If you really want to challenge yourself, you have the band around your ankles, which makes it so much harder. So I'm lying in 2 panes of glass. So remember, it's so important that pelvis stays completely vertical. Don't open it up by rolling backwards or forwards. If you're wobbling all over the place, you can always bring the bottom leg slightly out in front. But the aim is one straight line. So I'm going to take you through the progressions. I lengthen my top leg longer than my bottom. I'm stacking my hips and knees there. And I lengthen and lift. Lengthen and lift. And lengthen back to center. Now this is just single leg lift. I lengthen and lift as high as it can go. Relax the foot. And back to center. If you want to progress, you incorporate the arms. So I lengthen and lift. And my arm comes over my head. Lengthen through the joints as much as you can, and we pulse for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lengthen my arm back to center, relax the foot. Hand meets thigh, leg comes down to the mat. Lengthen and lift as high as you can go. The band might be around your ankles if you want to work really hard. Lengthen and lift. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And lengthen. And back to center. If you want to progress, double. Glue those legs together. Double leg lift. Lengthen the top leg lift. So I'm really trying to lengthen those the legs as high as they can go. And I'm pulsing for 5. You might want to pulse for 10 if you want to. Hand meets thigh, top leg meets bottom leg. I'm gluing them together. Then I come down to the mat. So you choose the level that's good for you, whether it's 1 or 2 legs. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lengthen. You don't even have to incorporate the arm. You can just do a single leg lift. So I'm getting a little bit tired, so I'm just doing my single leg lift, incorporating the arm. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lengthen. Now really think about relaxing that foot. The more you lengthen through the hip joint, relaxing the foot, you're going to really fire up your glutes there, and especially the sort of gluteus minimus, medius, and the piriformis. So those are attached to your core. So you're really working your core muscles. Incorporating that arm, you're going to really work your waist. Always pulling your belly button to the spine. Try not to wobble like me, it's all total stability. We're doing one more. So I'm doing my double. Lengthen and lift my leg. Glutes on fire, can feel that in my waist. Thighs on fire. I didn't even do 5 pulses because my glutes are aching. Can you see I'm gluing my legs together, they're still floated, then they come down to the mat. And just pat it out. Take off our band. We're going to do a slightly different spinal stretch here. I'm lying in that 2 panes of glass. I've got my hand in front of me for support. I bend my top knee and my top foot rests on my back of my bottom knee. I hold on to, you might want a little block. My bottom hand rests on my knee and I interlace my fingers behind my head. Can you see what I'm doing there? And I'm open up my chest. So it's rotation of my chest. Now the aim is to keep the knee touching the floor as I try to touch my shoulders and elbow onto the mat. And back to center. Hopefully you can see the position. So a rotation of my spine, upper spine, knee stays glued to the mat. So I'm trying to touch my shoulder and elbow onto the floor. So it's a really deep spinal stretch there. And back to center. Lengthen your leg away, pat it out, and we're going to do 2 open books. So you choose what equipment you would like. You know your open books. So you bend your knees in front, lengthen your arms, lengthen and lift the top leg diagonally across. Now we work the glutes really hard, so you choose whether you want to lengthen and lift the leg and incorporate it. If you're too tired, just keep it lengthened and rested. So I'm going to open up my book, head follows my hand, and you lengthen and lift that leg, increasing the range of motion. Swing the leg behind you with control, staying at hip height. Some of you might not incorporate the leg if you're feeling a bit tired. What I'm really thinking about is lengthening through my joints. Feeling that deep stretch. Lengthen, lengthen. Hold and bend the knee and pat it out.
we're going to go into bridge now. So today's bridge is just the hip opener. So you choose if you want a loop band around your thighs. So we're going to open up, I'll just show you, we're opening up the hip like that. Some of you might want a resistance band around your hips. Remember, when you open up your hip, if you want to, you can open up your hip with your knee at tabletop. So you choose the level that's good for you. So my loop band is tight around my hips. It's not loop band, sorry, resistance band. But you don't have to have a resistance band around your hips. My knees are hip width apart. My feet are close to my seat bones and I come up into my bridge. Some of you might want to come onto tiptoes. Remember, it's progression. Keep that alignment of your knees to your hips, your shoulders, as you drop your left knee out to the side. Hold for 3, 2, 1. Remember, you might be at tabletop and drop your right knee out to the side. And hold for 3, 2, 1. Squeeze the glutes, hips up to the ceiling. Don't drop the bottom. Lengthen your arms up to the ceiling or maybe over your head. If you've got the band, pull the band apart. Drop your left knee to the side. 3, 2, 1. Back to center. Drop your right knee to the side. 3, 2, 1. And back to center. Then tuck in your pelvis. Keep those arms lengthened over your head or maybe up to the ceiling. And I'm scooping my pelvis there, turning my spine into a wheel. So I roll my vertebrae down one at a time. And either come back to center and start that bridge again, or some of you will come into your crunch, holding onto your hamstrings, coming up to your bench. Some of you might even come further and lengthen your arms out to the side. I'm really trying to stick out my chest, nice straight back, protecting my lumbar spine. Or some of you might try the teaser, holding onto your hamstrings for support if you want, or lengthening those arms up to the ceiling. Don't. Tray of drinks are on my shins, so as I slowly roll down, I don't want to disturb the tray of drinks on my shins there. I'm going to do one more bridge. Feet close to my seat bones, pushing into my heels. You don't have to have that resistance band. I'm just working my arms a bit harder. Tiptoes for some of you, that's a progression. So I drop out my left knee. Pelvis doesn't move, leg moves independently. Drop out my right knee. Hips up to the ceiling, tucking my tailbone under, lengthening my arms up to the ceiling, or maybe some of you might be able to lengthen them over your head. Pulling that band. Left knee. Right knee. Holding for 3. Then tucking in the pelvis. I'm really lengthening those arms over my head. I'm rolling down one vertebra at a time. Either lengthen those arms back to center, just finish off one more bridge, or you can come into your final boat. Holding onto your hamstrings, progression, lengthening your arms out to the side. Teaser. I'm really trying to stick out my chest there, keeping a nice straight back. Horizontal alignment of my shins. Really thinking about balancing a tray of drinks. Then hug your knees to your chest and rock from side to side, pulling your knees apart. Or some of you might want to do a rollover. Gosh, I feel far more flexible now doing my rollover. Really feel my muscles have warmed up. Full body stretch. Really lengthen toes and fingers away from each other. Melting the rib cage into the mat. And then we'll slowly come to the other side. Slowly breathing deeply. So I'm doing single and double leg lift. I was going to say you can have a weight in your hands if you want to. Remember, if you're wobbling all over the place, bring your bottom leg slightly out in front.
So let's start with the lengthening and lifting. Top leg, lengthen, relax the foot. Lengthen, lengthen, single leg lift. Lengthen, and back to center. So you might just want to do your single leg lift. Because I've totally relaxed that foot, I'm lengthening as much as I can through the hip joint, and always lengthening with your head can really feel that fires up the glutes. So you can just lengthen and lift your leg only, or you might want to incorporate the arm. Pulse for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lengthen back to center. I'm pulling my belly button to the spine, squeezing my glutes. Some of you might be going straight into double leg lift. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You can do 10 pulses if you want. You can challenge yourself. My band is around my thigh. If you want to challenge yourself more, put the band around your ankles. Double leg lift. Glue my legs together. As I float up my top leg, lengthen my arm over my head. Oh, I'm wobbling a bit. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lengthen my arm. Hand meets thigh, top leg meets bottom leg. I'm still floated and back down to the mat. Really thinking about maintaining absolute stability. I'm thinking about really lengthening through all the joints, relaxing my foot. Let's make it our final one. I'm thinking about total stability, but I don't want that pelvis to move. Lengthening as much as I can. I'm still lengthening my head. And back to center. Ooh. You just have to, I felt that in my glutes, my thighs. There's a really good waist trimmer as well. So we're just before we do our 2 open books, you take off your band. So I'm lying, you might want to lie on the block for this one actually. So lying in a straight line. And then I'm bending my top leg. My top foot rests behind my bottom knee. My bottom hand rests on my knee. And I interlace my top arm, my top hand behind my head. Can you see my knee, my top knee is stuck to the floor there? And I've lengthened that bottom leg away. Then I rotate my spine. Now the aim is to keep that knee glued to the mat. And I'm trying to touch my elbow and shoulder on the floor. I cannot get my elbow or shoulder to the floor, but you can really see, just one more rotation, that is a really deep lumbar spine stretch. And back to center. Now we'll do 2 open books. Bend your knees in front as though you're sat in a chair. That's really important. Lengthen your arms out in front. Your head is on the edge of the block. Lengthen and lift that leg. And we open up our book. Remember, you don't have to incorporate the leg if you're feeling tired. But if you are, see if you can increase your range of motion. Feeling that lovely deep stretch. Don't drop your foot. You must stay at hip height to really work those glutes. Really lengthen and lift the leg behind. Really feeling that in the glutes. Really opening up the hip flexor. Hold, bend the knee, and just pass it out. We're going to go straight into prone now. So prone, we're going to do the classic swimming prone. Now, for those who cannot come into prone, you're going to do your 4-point kneeling, and you'll just wiggle without a band in your hand. You're lengthening opposite leg and arm away. And you're going to hold it for at least 5 to 6 seconds.
and back to center. So you might have a band in both hands, taking on a bit of tension. Hold it for at least 5 to 6 seconds. The rest of us, we're lying in prone. Some of you might want a loop band around your ankles and a loop band and a resistance band in your hand, or nothing at all. So we're in prone here. Pushing my pubic bone into the mat, pulling my belly button to the spine. Make sure your feet and arms are about mat width apart. So we're going to lengthen and lift opposite leg and arm as we lengthen and lift our head and sternum. Hold it for 2 to 3 seconds and back to center. Remember, if it's too much to lengthen and lift your arms, just lengthen and lift your leg and head and sternum. Hold for 2 to 3 seconds and back to center. So I'm really lengthening through the hip joint, shoulder joint. I'm looking down in the mirror. Don't extend your head. Remember, relax the foot so you really feel you're firing up the glutes. Lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. Can really feel that in the muscles in my upper back. Some of you might have those bands. Now, if you want to progress, maybe you can try this once or twice. Double leg lift, double arm lift. Look down in the mirror, hold on to that little orange. And back to center. If you want to progress further, double leg lift. Now, through the shoulder joints and hip joints, can you see? I'm swimming. I'm not doing little strokes like that. I'm moving from the shoulder joints and the hip joints. So it slows down my swimming movement. This is your own personal challenge and you rest whenever you like. Maybe you could just try one set, then come to lengthen and lift. Always holding for a couple of seconds, at least 2, if not 3 seconds. Make it your final one either side, or your final 2 double, or your final little set of swimming. Always pulling your belly button to the spine, pushing your pubic bone into the mat. Everyone come down to the mat, capital E your arms, and rock your hips from side to side. We're just going to do cobra, and then we start with lizard, and then full cobra. So my hands are at capital E, elbows in line with my shoulders. My legs are hip width apart, a mat width apart. So I roll the marble forward. Pull my belly button to the spine, squeeze my glutes. Chest out to the sun, shoulders down my back pockets, squeeze those glutes. Now I'm pushing into my left hand, extending my left arm, looking over my left shoulder, really looking at my left foot. Some of you might want to bend your right knee. Right elbow glued to the mat. And back to center. I love that stretch. So I lengthen and lift my head and sternum, sorry. Chest out to the sun, shoulders down my back pockets, pushing into my elbows. They're not moving, but it helps me extend my spine. Push into my right hand, extend the right arm. Look over your right shoulder and look at your right foot. And bend your left knee if you can. That is a progression, the bending of the left knee. And lengthen back to center. Now, if you try to push into both hands, doesn't matter if you don't fully extend your arms. Chest out to the sun, shoulders down your back pockets. Some of you might want to put your hands underneath your shoulders, more of a deep spinal extension. And lengthen back to center. Elbows tucked into my rib cage for that deep spinal extension. Everyone comes into 4-point kneeling. We're doing a cat and a cow. So make sure you're stacked, stick out your bottom, lengthen your head forward, creating space between your shoulders and ears, shoulders down your back pockets. Now push into your palms, squeeze your glutes. Some of you might want to tuck your toes under.
Then float up your knees by 1 centimetre. A little bit more core work with your child's pose. It's up to you. Knees come down, one more cow. Lengthening my head forward, shoulders down my back pockets. Rounding and curling my spine, piece of springs, pulling me from the belly button to the spine. Can you see I'm still in position as I just float up my knees by 1 centimetre, no more than 2. A little bit more core work, still stretching my spine. And back to 4-point kneeling. Now, those who find 4-point kneeling difficult, you can do it exactly the same in prone. Your legs are mat width apart, and so are your arms. You lengthen and lift, and you're going to do a big circle one way and a big circle in the opposite direction. And that's what we're going to do in our 4-point kneeling. Some of you might want a loop band around your, just about just on your thighs. Make sure you're stacked. Either lengthen just your leg, or you can incorporate the arm, is up to you. And we're going to do a big circle one way without disturbing our pelvis. And a big circle in the opposite direction. And back to centre. Complete stability is harder than it looks. Lengthen, opposite leg and arm. You don't have to incorporate the arm. Then I draw a big circle one way, total stability, and a big circle in the opposite direction. Back to centre and back down to the mat. It's much harder than it looks. Lengthen. This can be done at plank. Big circle one way. Total stability. I can see I'm moving a little bit. Big circle in the opposite direction. Keep on going. Plank. Lengthen and lift. Big circle one way and a big circle in the opposite direction. Oh, that's difficult. Carry on with your 4-point. Lengthen. Big circle one way. I can see I'm wobbling a little bit. Decrease your range of motion if you feel you're wobbling. Really thinking about keeping my stability now. Just make it your final one either side. And then everyone come into a child's pose. Lengthen your arms forward. Try to sit on your heels. Push your chest into the mat and rest your forehead on the mat. Rocking from side to side. Nice C curve your spine. Squeeze your glute. Can you see I'm really C curving my spine as I come back up to 4-point kneeling to do thread the needle. So make sure you're stacked. With or without a band, I lengthen my right arm out to the side, or maybe up to the ceiling. Hips have to stay stacked over the knees. Push into that supporting hand and lengthen back to centre. Lengthen. Right hand threads underneath left. Pushing into that left hand. Rotation of my upper spine. And some of you might want to incorporate lengthen or lengthening, lifting the leg, keeping the hips flat and swinging your left leg. Some of you might just want to swing your left leg out to the side as we unthread out to the side, up to the ceiling. Pushing into that supporting hand, lengthening your arms away, shoulders down your back pockets. Lengthen, lengthen back to centre. We do the other side. Make sure you're stacked. Lengthen your left arm out to the side, maybe up to the ceiling. Try to keep the hips stacked over the knees. I'm just cheating a little bit there. Lengthen, back to centre. Left arm threads underneath right. Really pushing into that right hand, trying to rotate my upper spine. Some of you might want to lengthen the right leg. You might want to lift it as well. Or some of you might want to try to swing that right leg out to the side as we unthread. Remember, the legs are always the progression. You don't have to incorporate the legs at all. Lengthen, lengthen back to center. We come to 4-point kneeling and seated. So we're going to slowly roll down. You choose the level that's good for you, whether you want the assistance of the band around your arches of your feet. Level 1, 2, or 3. Remember, really slow it down. Relax the feet. Lean back, bandage, tapping your pelvis. Relax the feet. Relax the legs. Really scoop. Turn that spine into a wheel. And slowly, slowly roll down. Slowly, slowly. Slowly, slowly. Hugging your knees to your chest, or some of you might want to remove your block and do your last rollover, classic rollover. Try not to push into your hands. We're just going to do one more exercise, one just very simple exercise where it looks like I'm doing absolutely nothing. Is the isometric hold. So you'll bring in both knees up to tabletop. If it's too uncomfortable, just bring one knee up to tabletop and I'll get you to swap over. So the aim is both knees, but it doesn't matter if you're just pushing into one knee. So I'm going to push into my thighs and my thighs are going to push into my palms and we're not going to move and you're going to really feel it in the core. Relax the feet. Take a breath in, so you breathe out, you push. Pull the belly button to the spine. And you're pushing as hard as you can, pulling the belly button in. Some of you might want to lengthen and lift your head and shoulders. If you've got tension in the neck, don't do it. And release. Take a breath in, so you breathe out, you push. Push. It looks like I'm doing absolutely nothing, but I'm really pushing. And I can really feel that in my core. Swap over legs for those doing it with just one leg. Final one. Push. I'm really pushing my thighs into my palms and I'm really pushing my palms into my thighs. And that's really working my deep core muscles there. Getting me really hot. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Woo. And hug your knees. That was even really working my arms as well. Just rock the spine from rock from side to side, so you feel your stretch in your lower back there. Now grab your band, we just stretch it out. The band goes under the arch of your right foot. Lengthen your leg up to the ceiling. Left leg is bent or lengthened, depending on your flexibility. Push into the heel. Just get your breathing back. Really relax that right foot to your left and bring your right foot out to the side. I'm lengthening through the hip joint. Relaxing the foot so I can feel I'm switching on my deep core muscles there. Lengthen the leg back to center. Try not to tug on the band too much. Let your core do the work. Band in the left hand, to my right. Look in the opposite direction. And lengthen back to center. And we swap over. Right leg bent or lengthened, depending on your flexibility. Pushing into the heel. Really relax. Pushing into that heel deepens the stretch, especially in the calf muscles. Relax the foot. Band in the left hand to your right. Lengthening through the hip joint. Lengthening back to center, band in the right hand to your left.
and back to center. Drop the band, we'll just stretch the glutes. Left ankle and right thigh, hugging your knees to your chest. Just really relax that foot. Lengthen your legs up to the ceiling if you can, or get there any way you can. Right ankle, left thigh. Really relax the foot. Hugging that knee to the chest. Stretch to the right glute. And just put your foot down. You remove your block and grab your ball and put the ball underneath your head. So we're going to push into the ball for 8. Remember your double chin and remember to breathe. It's going to release tension you hold in the head, neck and shoulders. Take a breath in. As you breathe out, you push. And release. Take a breath in. As you breathe out, you push. Double chin. And release. And one more. Take a breath in. As you breathe out, you push. And release. Just gently roll your head from left to right. Just relax the muscles in your neck. And see if you can deepen the stretch using the ball. Really relax. And back to center. Just focus on your breath. When you're ready, we'll gently roll to the side and get yourself to seated, just in your own time, slowly. Breathing. I'm going to sit on my block just to get that neutral spine. So you're going to lengthen up. So I lengthen my right arm up to the ceiling. It's my right to your left. And I lengthen over to the side. Stay weighted in your seat bones and lengthen through the joints. I'm being pulled by a piece of string. So I'm holding that stretch in my waist, but it's toning because I'm holding that stretch. Then lengthen forward. Feel a nice deep stretch down one side of your back. Try not to bend the arm, try to lengthen it. But obviously shoulder issues reduce your range of motion. Back to the side, stay weighted in your seat bones, pull your belly button to the spine and back to center. We'll do the other side. Feel like I'm being pulled, but I've got to think about those seat bones glued to the mat. Glued to my block, lengthen forward. And open up. And lengthen back center, pulling my belly button to the spine, protecting my spine. So those with lower spine issues, you're going to come up and you're going to have a nice straight back. The rest of us, tucking our toes under, we come into Pilates stance, gluing our heels together, our feet out to a 90-degree angle. So you might want to hold on to some weights. Micro bend, relax the top of your body, squeeze your glutes, pull the belly button to the spine. The more you relax, can you see I'm really C-curving my spine as I restep. I should have 2 weights in my hands, really. The other one's over there. You can drop the weights or use them in your arm circle. Squeeze the shoulder blades together, pulling your belly button to the spine. We'll just do one more. Squeezing the shoulder blades together and back to center. And thank you.